Welcome to Ridgecrest Talk with our guest today, Robert Paelek, who I want you to know it isn't Rob and it isn't Bob. It's Robert Paelek, and I'm so glad you can be with us today to tell us about the facility, the adoption facility, Wild Horse and Burro program.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah. So now, first of all, I wanted to learn a little bit about your background because you're not from Ridgecrest. And
No.
you're from Texas? Or
Yeah, I'm from South Texas, down halfway between San Antonio and Corpus Christi, and grew up on a little ranch down there, and we had a few horses and some cows, and I've had quite a few interesting jobs in my career. I was a zookeeper, I was a uranium miner, I was even a crop duster for a little while until my mama found out about it, and then she put her foot down. That ended my crop dusting career.
did you have a pilot's license?
Oh, no.
Oh, no. Oh, my gosh.
I just flew with my uncle.
Oh, that was brave.
Yeah, one of those biplanes. That was a lot of fun. Yeah, went underneath the power lines, you know.
That's a scary,
yeah.
you're brave.
Well,
maybe you were too young to know better.
probably. And then, of course, I was with my uncle who, well, we won't go there.
Okay. But now you've had a lot of experience then with animals. And did you work with the BLM when you were in Texas?
No, I went to work for the USDA as a county agent, first of all. And if you don't know what that is, the USDA has a program where they help farmers and ranchers earn a profit.
Mm-hmm.
And I did that for the USDA for about 15 years before I came to BLM.
Mm-hmm. And that, of course, is the United States Department of Agriculture.
Yeah.
USDA.
The USDA, yeah, the United States Department of Agriculture. And then I switched departments and came to the Department of Interior for the BLM over in Carlsbad, New Mexico.
Okay.
And what we did in Carlsbad, New Mexico was mainly oil and gas leases. Southeast New Mexico has quite a bit of the oil and gas deposits in the lower 48. And so we were putting together
The lower 48.
the lower 48 states,
Oh, okay. Okay.
not including Alaska, of course.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it was quite busy doing that. And then I was asked to come out to Ridgecrest.
By the then,
By the then.
you weren't with the BLM at that time.
Oh yeah, I was with the BLM.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay, I beg your pardon.
doing oil and gas leases
Oh,
for the
okay.
BLM.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, in New Mexico.
In New Mexico.
Yeah, and then
The
came
lower
out
48.
came out here to manage the resources branch for the Ridgecrest field office.
Of which you are chief.
Yeah, that's what resources chief for the Ridgecrest field office, and I manage the archaeology section, range and livestock, wildlife, soil, water, air, and botany, and the Wild Horse and Burro program.
Well, before we get into all of that, what you do for the BLM, I want to stay focused a little bit on your experience with horses.
Okay.
And I want to ask you, well, because the adoption program is your baby.
Well,
much
yeah,
your-
I'm pretty proud of that program.
Yes.
And passionate about it. Yeah.
And why are you passionate about it?
Well, it's something that I've known about practically all my life. When the Wild Horse and Burro Act was going through Congress back in 1970, I was in grade school, and the nuns suggested that we write letters to the congressman to get that Wild Horse and Burro Act passed.
Enacted.
Yeah, and I wrote two of them, one extra for extra credit. I remember that. And then in 1971.
Is that because you grew up with horses?
Well, yeah, I grew up around horses. As a matter of fact, my grandfather farmed with draft horses, Percherons, actually. Yeah. And went on to do a little bit of rodeoing in high school and college.
You did?
I did. Yeah, saddle bronc mostly, until I got a little bit smart, and then decided to finish college. Yeah, because I knew I wasn't going to get my there wasn't going to be a bronze bust of me in the Cowboy Hall of Fame. Let's just put it that way.
Okay.
So here I am now.
All right. Well, what was your major in college?
Majored in animal science and beef cattle
okay.
production, and then went on to at Texas A&M, and then I went on to Oregon State University while I was working as a county agent in Oregon. And
so you've had a broad background for your position. What has prepared you the most for it?
what has prepared me?
The most.
Oh,
Just your
well,
love
I've
of
been
animals?
in my present position. I'm a manager, and I've been kind of a crew boss all throughout my career. You know, managing a few field hands when I was a kid, and managing several crews while I was with the USDA, and even when I went to BLM, I was a crew boss there, and so now I'm a manager here at Ridgecrest.
I like to ask people, because we have viewers from all different age ranges, and for someone who's thinking about what they want to do, it gives them food for thought, because it's not your normal
Well, I tell
9
you
to
what,
5 job.
I
is
get a
it?
lot of phone calls and emails from youth asking how I get a job with the federal government, and there's plenty of opportunity. Maybe not so much here with the Ridgecrest BLM, but heck, across the street at the base. And even if you don't want to go, or if you don't want to stay here in Ridgecrest, there's all kinds of opportunities with the federal government for kids either out of high school or going into college,
And
or
that's
getting
just,
out of college.
But they can just go online for a lot
Go
of those
online
jobs.
to usajobs.gov,
.gov.
and there's a whole suite of different jobs that you can look at. Just go to that drop-down box in the search.
Get a lot of food for thought in
Yeah.
what you might want to do, and the
and-
different opportunities out there.
Upload your resume, and then get after it. Go look for the job that you want.
All right, well, we're going to get ready and take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to focus a little more in on your position as the field chief.
Thanks.
Yeah.
You bet.
We'll be right back. Welcome back to Ridgecrest Talk with our guest, Robert Paelek, who is the Ridgecrest Bureau of Land Management Resource Chief
Resource chief.
of the
that's right.
Wild Horse and Burro program.
Wild Horse and Burro program is part of the resources
Oh,
branch.
that's one of the, it's a branch of
Right.
the resources.
Yeah, it's a section of the resources branch, and the Ridgecrest field office has resources.
Okay.
We have the recreation branch, of which Craig Beck is the chief.
Okay.
Me, of course, with resources. Then we have law enforcement. Wayne Dingle is the chief law enforcement ranger, and our field manager is Carl Simons.
Yes. Okay. All right. So you're resources chief, and one aspect of that is the Wild Horse and Burro program.
That's right.
And I have from Jawbone, what you told me is now an outdated form.
Yeah, I haven't seen that in a while. We've got a little bit newer version of it.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I guess I picked this up back in February.
Oh, did you?
Was it since then? You told me you've written a new, improved, and
Yeah, we've got
full
it.
color.
Yeah, just come by the field office, and as soon as you walk in
get
the door,
updated.
you'll see it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like to let people know these are available. There's all kinds of these types of informative descriptions.
Plenty of brochures. As soon as you walk into the door, just look to the left, and we've got a whole rack full of them.
No one can complain for lack of things to do
Oh,
in
that's for
this
sure.
area. There's just, you can't keep up with it, actually.
We've got all kinds of information for folks interested in viewing enjoying and getting out and enjoying our public lands.
Well, you're the resources man.
And you're the public, so get out there and enjoy the public land.
Right. The better challenge would be to see if you could get to all of the things to do.
It would be a pretty tall order to see everything.
Would be a pretty tall order.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I made it out to the corrals this past weekend.
Did you?
And I didn't get past the first herd of horses. And I should have told somebody. I think the horse number was 5063, but I'm not sure now.
What, you want to adopt that one?
I wish I could, but I want to report that he was so desperate for a carrot that he cut his nose on the wire.
On the fence?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll look out for him.
Yes, I think it was. He's kind of almost brown, almost black,
Okay.
brownish black, and so anyway, they love my carrots, and then they let me just sort of love on them when they were
I'll tell
done
you
with
what,
the carrots.
if you're looking for something to do on a Sunday afternoon with the kids, go out to the corrals. It's just 4 miles east of town, right off of Highway 178, like you're going to Trona. And you top the rise, and you'll see Randsburg Wash Road off to your right. You'll see the only trees for 100 miles, and that's the Salt Wells Fire Station and the Wild Horse and Burro facility.
It's right
there.
at the top of the hill as you go past the Guns for Us on Ridgecrest going east.
Yep. Go past the light at
you
Richmond
can see
and
it
keep
right
on
on
going.
the top of the hill.
Mhm.
And that was how I knew, because I was first sort of skewed by the instructions on the map.
Okay.
On the when you go online and you map quest it gives you a map, and I found that sort of scary.
Yeah, no, it's real easy to get to. Just
Yes.
go past the light on Richmond, keep going about 3 miles, and the first
Wait,
main road.
the
to
light
right.
on Richmond, I took Ridgecrest.
Ridgecrest, I'm sorry. Yeah, the light at Richmond. Go past the light at Richmond.
Okay, go through that
Uh-huh.
light, staying on Ridgecrest. Is it still Ridgecrest past the light?
Well, it'd be 178.
Oh, okay, because it goes into San Bernardino County. And is that still Ridgecrest?
Well, it would be Highway 178 by that
Okay.
time. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And just top the rise and take a right on Randsburg Wash Road.
Oh, but excuse me, but is that still in, I mean, because, okay, is that still Ridgecrest, the town?
Still
it's San
Ridgecrest, yeah.
Bernardino County.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, all right.
Yeah.
I didn't know that the city actually.
Yeah, our address is still Ridgecrest up there at the corrals.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we were going to go a little more, and you already have, into some of your duties as resources.
Sure.
Resource chief.
Well, aside from Wild Horse and Burro, we have in the resources branch we have archaeology. I've got 2
That's
archaeologists.
fascinating. Oh, that's
Whenever
fascinating.
whenever someone is planning on doing a development or putting in a transmission line or whatever with renewable energy, there is something called Section 106 that we have to adhere to. The archaeologists are there to make sure that if there's any prehistoric artifacts, that they be left alone. It's, believe it or not, against the law to pick up an arrowhead and take it home with you if you're on public land. You can do it on private, but just leave it lay when you're on public land. I have.
It sort of goes against a person's gut reaction. We need to be reminded of that.
Yeah, it's something that you rarely think about, but if you find an arrowhead on public land, it belongs to everybody, not just you.
Right.
So
you can't keep it, you can't pocket it. It's there
pick
for
it up,
everyone.
admire it, and put it back where you found it.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So, what are some of the most interesting things you enjoy about your job as resource chief?
Oh
at
gosh,
BLM?
well, I would have to say it's the people that work for me and the people that I work with.
That's nice.
It's
That's a nice commentary.
I came here in 2009 and we had a full staff. I was in charge of, gosh, I think 20 people, and now we're down to, well, I'm down to about 10 or 11 full-time staff, and it's because of the hiring freeze and not being able to hire people back after they retire or leave.
Oh, okay.
And so we all seem to be doubled up and tripled up, and our plates are no longer plates. they're platters, and they're overflowing. And so if you come into the office and nobody's available to help you, well, just be patient, because we're kind of busy, but we'll get to you.
Well, in our last minute before we go to another break, what haven't I asked you would like to share about your job?
Oh, well, it's probably one of the better jobs in the federal government, I would say. And a lot of that has to do with the Wild Horse and Burro program.
Okay, so when we get back from our break, we're going to talk a little bit more about the adoption program.
Sure.
And where that's going, and we'll be right back to hear more about it. Thank you. All right, we're back with Ridgecrest Talk and our guest, Robert Paelek, Resource Chief with the Bureau of Land Management. And so we've heard about your background, your position as Resource Chief, and I want to talk about the Wild Horse and Burro Adoption Program. It's such a fascinating program. Is that your favorite part of your, or maybe that's an unfair question?
Depends on the staff watching,
Oh.
I guess. But, all right.
Okay.
Well, you might just wonder why all those horses are over there to begin with. If you're not from Ridgecrest, you probably don't even know that our facility's out there. But out in the wild in northern Nevada, northern California, and Utah, Idaho, all over the West, we have wild horses on the range,
That
on
is
public
amazing.
lands, at least 50,000. And the horses that get gathered come to the Ridgecrest field, or the Ridgecrest corrals, or corrals just like it up. We've got one over in Susanville, California, and another one in Palomino Valley, Nevada, which is about half an hour north of Reno.
Are there 12 facilities?
Oh, there's quite a few. I think there's about 12 or 13 or so. And the horses are brought into our facility and are prepared for adoption. The younger horses that would make a good horse for a horse enthusiast come to the Ridgecrest corrals and take a look. The adoption fee is $125.
This is incredible.
And the horses are well, they're shod. I mean, not shod. They're given a manicure.
Shod, does that mean they get their hoofs?
Their hoofs.
Shoes?
Hoofs, well,
horseshoes.
We don't put shoes on them for you, but we will get them trimmed up. They will have received all their shots and a freeze mark on the left side of their neck to identify them.
Freeze mark, is that the little white thing?
Yep,
it looks like a writing?
We use liquid nitrogen, so it's not a hot brand like what you see.
Like
yeah.
Like the cowboys did with the cows or something.
I have 2 Wranglers right now, Louis Andreas and JJ Nolan, and my facility manager, Grant Lockey. He's a buckaroo from up north. Great big jolly fella. You'd enjoy meeting him. And we have a program assistant by the name of CJ Wallace, and my wild horse and burro specialist, Alex Nybergs. You'd love Alex, especially if he laughs. You just have to laugh when he laughs. Yeah, it is. What Alex does is he writes all the paperwork up to put together when we have to do a gather, say on the Navy base or out in the Centennial and Slate Ranges for burros, and we'll bring those back to Ridgecrest and get those prepped for adoption. We have about 900 horses in our facility right now, and the horses that don't get adopted, those animals, contrary to the myth, are not sent to slaughter. What would the point be of that?
Oh, you read my mind.
What is the point of that?
That would be tragic.
No, we don't do that. What happens is those horses are shipped to long-term preserves in the Midwest.
Is okay? What's the difference between a preserve and a reserve?
Well, probably nothing. But we call them long-term preserves or long-term sanctuaries in the Midwest, Texas, Oklahoma, Nebraska, even in eastern Oklahoma or eastern Colorado,
All right.
quite a few big ranches that the government contracts with the ranchers to babysit horses. And right now, with the price of beef cattle so high, ranchers are going back to ranching for beef cattle instead of taking government contracts for horses. So we have kind of a bottleneck in our short-term facilities, like here in Ridgecrest. We're almost to capacity. So we need help getting some horses adopted. A lot of the horses are great animals. Well, they're all great animals, but all of my wranglers use BLM wild horses for their own saddle horses at the corrals and at home.
Wonderful.
We've all adopted our own horses. So
You've adopted horses?
yeah,
Cool.
mine's I have a saddle horse at the corrals, as does my staff, and we we kind of walk our talk. If
Nice.
If you're going to adopt a horse, we might as well be working with our own
Lead by
wild
example.
horses. That's right.
So part of the drill of adoption is that you have to have that horse trained, I understand.
No, you don't have to have the horse trained. You can train them yourself. Now we have a program called TIP, Trainer Incentive Program, where a trainer will train up a horse and find an adopter. So if you know a trainer, you can pick out a wild horse and have that trainer train that horse up. I mean, not to the point that it will be a hunter jumper, but
Are you good at understanding horse language, by the way?
Are
you the horse whisperer?
No, horses whisper to me.
Pardon me?
Horses whisper to me. I don't whisper to horses.
Well, because when I was at the corral Sunday, the one kept, beating its foot,
Yeah,
stomping.
they're just trying to get attention.
Okay, that's what I thought. That's
Yeah.
what I thought.
Yeah.
So I
No,
don't know
I'm
if they
not-
were
I'm not
excited
a-
or angry.
Probably they want more of your carrots.
Carrots.
Tonia.
That's true. That's what they wanted.
Yeah.
That is what they wanted.
Yeah, but the adoption process is pretty simple. Fill out an application, $125. You got to make sure you have enough space. I think it's 400 square feet, 3-sided shelter. Those horses are still property of the U.S. government until
How-
we come out and do a compliance check
Within a year.
within a year.
And-
And then once you're signed off, we grant title to you for that horse.
And so what is the cost then to maintain a horse?
Well, the price of feed right now is pretty high. Anywhere between $200 and $300 a ton for hay, and a horse will eat 10 pounds of hay a day.
Okay.
And so it kind of adds up, and that's another reason why we have so many horses over here at the corrals.
Well,
Because
before
people are trying to feed their own family, and they
Right.
might not have enough left over in their discretionary dollars to.
or
on a
they
horse.
could grow hay, but in our
Yeah.
last 30 seconds, do you have any closing thoughts?
Well, why don't you come on out to the Ridgecrest Field Wild Horse and Burro corrals on a Sunday afternoon, and you can drive all the way around the perimeter, enjoy all the horses.
Sounds good. Thank you so much for joining us
You bet.
today. All
Thank
right.
you.